Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com. And this is my first in a series of videos on learning the C programming language. It's sort of like the OG programming language, especially of like modern programming languages. It's sort of the mother of many of the bigger ones. So like C begat C++, which really C++ is just C with the addition of classes. It literally was originally called C with classes, and then C++, like Java can then competed with C++ and kind of borrowed ideas from there, and then Java had languages like C Sharp and JavaScript borrowed ideas from Java, and it all kind of like permeates from there. There's actually a really good lecture on YouTube. It's called like why functional programming isn't the norm, where they really go through a really interesting history of programming languages. I really highly recommend watching that video. It's really good. But basically, it's a harder language in the sense that it's more verbose. There's basically a lot of stuff that just doesn't do for you that other languages do for you. But because of that, it's also a faster language. Okay, because it doesn't do those things for you, you get to choose when those things happen. So the resulting program is faster. So usually people will go to C when they want to write something really, really, really fast. That's kind of like the space that languages like Go and Rust are trying to fill and say, hey, let's have a modern language that has the speed of C and C++, but with sort of modern syntactical innovations, which I haven't done Rust yet, but I do love Go. Okay, so let's start off. So if you go to repl.it, I figure this is the easiest way, just because you can download the GCC compiler on your computer, but it's just more of a pain to compile to show you the result each time than to just use REPL, where I can kind of show you the result pretty quickly. But they'll walk you through how a C program works. Okay, first at the top you'll include any libraries you're using, which are always .h, so .header files, and they bring in like other functions, other libraries, other code for you to use. Okay, so from the standard library, we're just using standard input output, STDIO, standard input output. So that's above. Now, like most compiled languages, the entry point is always a function by the name of main. So the idea is that when the compiler compiles the code into an executable, it realizes, okay, the starting place should be this main function. So the first thing that happens when the code that executable is open is whatever's inside the main function. I can define stuff above and below the main function, but this is where sort of the experience for the user starts. Okay? And it's a function definition. Okay? So basically the way function definition, so basically we're kind of seeing how function definitions work in C at the same time. You declare a return value, so we're saying this function, main, returns an integer, which is why we return 0 at the end. That kills the program. It says this function's over. And we're passing nothing into it, so that's fine. Okay, cool. And then inside the program, okay, inside the program, we're gonna do hello world. So actually, let me get rid of this line and make this simpler. So it's just sort of, I'm gonna comment this out for show you the easy way. Okay, the simplest way you could just do hello world is just do a printf. That's the function to print stuff from the standard io.h library, and then we just say hello world. Okay, and this, we do need a semicolon after every command in C. Okay, so if I run this, see, we get hello world. Only problem is, see, like the entry point, the cursor is still there, which means they don't automatically put in a new line. So I gotta manually put in a new line. I think it's actually the other way around. /n, yeah, \n. So I will run that command again and see, now it goes on to the next line. So that's a new line character if you need like a new line. Cool. So that's hello world in C. Pretty easy. Otherwise, I mean, everything kind of works the same if you've learned other languages. If you haven't learned other languages, then this is probably not the video series to watch. I highly recommend then starting off with my JavaScript series, where I'm going to spend probably more time explaining fundamental programming concepts than I do in these video series, which are more like learn another language. But bottom line, in every language you have to assign data to variables. Okay, So when you're doing it in C, I'm going to declare a variable. I'm going to say int my var. Okay, int my var. So it has to equal an integer. So we'll say the number 5. Okay, and then that's that. That's now 5. Okay, I can do a single character. So car, my car, equals the letter A. Okay, and we're getting a little thing here. So see here, to integer conversion, initial car with an expression of type car2. Oh, because that's right, characters have to be single quotes. Okay, this is a weird thing in some languages. And that's the thing, okay? There are no real strings in C. So, like a word, there's no like type for a string per se. There's just a type for an individual character, an individual letter. Okay? So my car is A. Cool. Now, if I want to print these out, let's print them out. I can print out these variables. Print f my var, print f my car, and we can see here, when you see the green lines, that means it's complaining about something. It's not necessarily there's an error, but there's something I should probably clean up. Incompatible integer to pointer conversion, passing car to parameter type of const car. Take the address with a W. Okay, so what they're asking me to do is do this. Because it's not... when you're using printf, what they want you to do is use what's called interpolation to bring variables in. Okay? So we'll say like so I'm creating a string. My car is worth, or my car's value is, and then I'll put percentage W. Okay, that kind of signs where that variable is going to go. Then I close this, and then I put a comma. And I think that's the right one. Is this invalid format? Or is it supposed to be? I think actually it's supposed to be S. Is that what it wants? No. That's a type. Seeing here, my car equals A. S. Or else actually was supposed to be percentage W. W. It's not going to be D. D is for digit. Oh, or that might just work. Okay. And then we'll do the same thing with my var here. My var's value is percentage D. Okay, and what it does is it just puts in the variable I put in X. So essentially what's going to happen is that my var is going to take the place of D in the string. My car is going to take the place of percentage D in the string. That's just kind of the way C likes it, which can be really annoying. I don't like interpolation the way it's done in C and C++. It's a little bit more work. Okay, and see, I forgot to put new strings. So let me do that first, because that makes it kind of unreadable. /n for new string or new line. And see now my var's value is 5. So see, this ended up being a placeholder for my var. My car's value is 97. Okay, that's the rune value. That's the character value of the letter A. What character is in the particular character set it's looking at. Not necessarily what I want. Let's try it with the W. Okay. Or is it capital W? No. What if I do it with S? Oh, C. That's what it wants for a character. There we go. My car value is A. Okay, so I've memorized all these percentage. So percentage D for a digit, percentage C for a character, it's going to be percentage S for a string. But like I mentioned, there is no string type, so what am I saying percentage S for a string? Well, because technically a string is an array of letters. So if I want to have a string, I'm actually declaring the variable as of type character. Okay, in this case we'll say my string, my stir, then I would put square brackets here. That means it's going to be an array of characters. That's what this says. My string is going to be an array of characters, because here's an array, and again this is the type characters. So then it equals, and then I can pass in a string. Okay, so now I can pass in hello world. Okay, and then again I gotta have a semicolon at the end of that statement. So again, there's no string type. It's just a character array is what a string is. And then again, just like everything else with printf, I have to interpolate it into a string in order for me to use it. So Control Z, printf. My stir's value is, in this case, it's percentage S. Okay, space, new line, comma, my stir. So my stir is just going to fill in this spot right here. Okay, so I hit run. Oh, we didn't like that for some reason. Let's see. Oh, I forgot a semicolon. That would do it. And there we go. My car's value is A. My stir's value is hello world. Okay, we're seeing it work. Okay, so nothing too crazy, right? Okay. There's other types of variables. Like if you're dealing with with like decimals, there's like float. So you could be like float. My float equals 30.4. Okay, but also double. My float or my double is also a decimal number. Just one can have more decimal places than the other. I think double is less than float, and then I think it was like a big float or something like that. Okay, but those work the same way as well. And let's try to interpolate those. See if it's going to be percentage. Should probably still be percentage D. Okay, so print F. My decimal values are percentage D and percentage D. And then we're going to pass in my float and my double. Okay, then I'll put a semicolon there. It doesn't like that format specifies type int, but the argument has type double. Okay, well, let's see what happens. Percentage D. Okay, let's see here. What would it be for? It didn't complain when I did the float, so let's try this one. Try this. Not sure what it would be. Let's see here. What if I did this? Still doesn't like it. Okay. Let's just do a quick search. Why not? C. Interpolate floats and doubles. Percentage F for float. That would make sense. How about for the double? Also percentage F makes sense. So let's go try that out. Percentage F. Percentage F. Let's go pass in my double. And yes, okay. Looks like it likes it. And it works. Okay, and then let me put a new line. Run that again. Okay, and you can kind of see all the decimal places there. 30.4, 30.5. So right now it defaults to 6. One of the two can go a little bit further. I think can go up to 9, and then there's um, another one that can go up even higher. Okay, so that's a kind of introduction to C. So we know how to assign variables. We know how to print strings and how to interpolate the data that we have into our strings, so we can print cool stuff. I guess the last thing we'll do is we'll do an if statement. An if statement just means, hey, you know, one thing, if it's true, if something's true, does one thing. So we'll just do if true, print f, it's true, semicolon, and then else. So this literally looks like any else if else statement that you've seen in pretty much every other programming language. But again, C is kind of the OG. Print f, it's false. Okay, nothing crazy. Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I think true and false here might only just be zeros and ones. So like if 0, let's try that. If 0, which should be false, let's try that out. What do we get? It's false, yep. 0 is false. And if I put 1, it's true. Okay. And yeah, that's an if statement. Kind of looks like if statements. Like if you've done JavaScript and Java, these all look pretty much the same. Same thing's gonna be for while loops, but I'll do that in a separate video. You guys have a great day. I hope you guys enjoyed this introduction to the C programming language. And yeah, see you guys from there.